Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Kaufman. This is your SBJ Executive Insight with Next League. I am joined by Dave Nugent. Dave is the CEO and founder of Next League, and Roland Lang. Roland is the Chief Commercial Officer. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Dave, I'm going to start with you. Let's have the elevator pitch. What is Next League?
Oh, gosh. The simple version of what Next League is that we're the only business that is completely tech agnostic, that lives in the technology services business, that also provides everything from strategy to design, development, deployment, and operations of technologies in a broad sense, exclusively in the sports industry. So there are many others who do pieces of those things, but they don't exist only in that ecosystem.
Got it. Okay. I remember when you started in 2021. Take us back to that time frame and tell us what were the biggest sports tech opportunities in the space at that time.
At that time, in technology, we always try to stay out in front of what's next. That's sort of a tagline of ours.
Yeah.
In 2021, we were anticipating a massive shift. A lot of the investments that were going to be made in sports to what was being still referred to as Web3.
Yep.
So blockchain-oriented technologies, a lot of the, in the sports industry, a lot of what was driving that was NFTs. Fast forward past the crypto winter and Sam Bankman-Fried and some of the other things that have since happened.
Yep.
That's a little bit less of a focus right now, although we'll probably make a comeback at some point, but that was certainly what we were thinking about a lot at the time.
Yeah.
In addition to more traditional media-oriented technology, which is kind of what we deliver against on a regular basis.
Okay, so what are they now then? And 2 years from now, what might we be talking about?
Well, now they're foundationally, we're at Media Innovators. There's still a lot going on in the media tech space.
Yeah.
The ability to deliver great content experiences to fans. It's a lot of what we focus on. We are spending a lot of time thinking about what's going on in venues. And what's going on with teams, because teams are no longer, as I'm sure you've read in your publication, are no longer little mom and pops. They have pretty significant valuations on them these days. And because they're being treated like enterprises, they're really investing heavily in tech. And then I can't leave an event like this without talking about AI. On some level, there's a lot of conversation about AI, specifically generative AI, and where that may lead.
Yeah.
So those are all things we're focused on.
Yeah. Give us a sense, and this is for either of you guys, but maybe we'll start with Dave. Give us a sense of kind of the lifespan of working with one of your clients, right? Like where do you begin? Where do you take them? How long does that process take?
Yeah, so a lot of the work we do these days, and have been doing since we launched Next League in 2021, is strategic. It's what could you do in order to generate more revenue or reduce risk? That's kind of the world we live in. And then there's the what should you do based on a variety of business factors like budgets and timeframes and what your overall business objectives are. It almost always starts with that. From there, we move into, okay, now, there have been decisions made on where those investments should be made. We can then help them either recruit the appropriate products or platforms that will solve those problems or build them out with and for them. And then we can also operate them for those platforms for them. That's sort of the life cycle. And we typically are in the maintenance and operations business on some level, although some of these technologies get turned over to our clients. That's kind of
Got it. Yes. And Roland, obviously you're a relatively new hire, but feel free to touch on that question, but also tell us, what drew you to Next League? Why were you excited about the opportunity?
Yeah, so I joined Dave and the team about 5 weeks ago from Kiswi, which is in the middle of kind of an interesting run as well. I had a great experience at Kiswi, loved the team over there, but when I started talking with Dave, I got excited about a sports-only company. I was doing a lot of things with internet creators and some music in the music space as well with Kiswi, and I just thought a pure sports foundational company was right for me. And then also, you want to continue learning in life. And I started to read some of the things that Next League is talking about vis-a-vis AI and NFTs and all of that. And I thought this is a really interesting place to go and learn and be a part of something that's sort of new and had been around for a long time. I was well aware of Omnigon from my time with YouTube Sports all the way back to the beginnings of my sports career. And thought it would be a good new adventure.
Yeah. What are your goals for 6 months, year, 2 years out?
Yeah, like Dave was mentioning, we are looking very closely at the venue space. Technology is not all of what happens inside of your computer or your phone. There's so much technology in venues, and we have a point of view about that. And we've made some hires in that area that I think are important and should make a difference for our clients, because it's all about what's good for the client and then ultimately what's good for the fan.
Yeah. I'll start with you, but then we'll pitch it to Dave. We're here at Media Innovators, as you mentioned, Dave. The media space has changed, I mean, over the past few weeks, right? It's changing so rapidly. What is the most interesting thing for you right now when it comes to technology's impact on the sports media space?
Well, I mean, the buzzword, of course, is AI right now, right? So it's hard not to think about that and listen and read a little bit about sort of the predictive models around the NFL, like who's going to blitz and all of that. And you start to think about the power of computers. I did 10 years at Google, so I'm well aware of what the power of AI is and the power of those servers. I think that kind of power is only just coming to the fore. I think it's been there. I just don't think people have quite realized.
Yeah.
So I think what it means for sports, what it means actually for sports strategy, I think is really, really interesting. And then for sports production, I think it's going to have a big part of that. So WLC was just on the panel. What they're doing, they've kind of been pretty early in this space. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of development is super interesting.
Yeah. Dave, to you, biggest sports tech impact on the media space?
Look, the good news for us is pretty much every conversation today is going to have a tech component to it. And as these properties go direct to consumer, in whatever form or fashion that takes, everybody is, whether it's the NBA or the NHL or anyone else, is sort of saying we're wading into that, right? Like, linear traditional broadcast is not going away anytime soon. But, direct to consumer media technologies in general are going to remain super important to the ecosystem. I think one of the panelists just talking about ESPN specifically said, it's not today, but eventually the entire thing will go direct to consumer. It's maybe it's not as sexy a topic as AI, but it's really hard. It's actually hard to do it at scale. And if you ever had a mediocre streaming experience, you know that like there's a reason for that, right? You're talking about millions of people concurrently trying to access content that's no good after the 3-hour live window.
Yeah.
Well, I should say it's no good. It's significantly less than that.
Yeah.
So look, all of those conversations are things that we're talking about in our office every day.
Yeah.
And they'll, then that won't change anytime soon.
Yeah. Let's dig in deeper to AI. We mentioned it a few times. And I'll ask the question this way. So much hype around it. Are we overstating it or are we understating it, Dave?
I don't think we're overstating it, although I probably would have said this about Web3 in 2021 in fairness.
Fair enough.
That said, it's different. I don't think we're overstating it. I think we're underestimating the level of difficulty to get to a true generative AI world where you could ask certain questions of a machine and get back accurate content. There's a lot of hallucinating going on in this world right now. And, a lot of the conversations we're having with clients are around, how do you train these models? If all you do is set AI loose on the web, you're going to get back all sorts of craziness. And sports properties can't afford that, right? The accuracy is critically important. So the ability to train models, the ability to go to do the hard work to get what is decades and decades of content exposed to these models in a way where what you get back is helpful, is actually not easy. So it's going to take a little while to do it. There'll be at least a few year, I think, landscape during which all that work will be done. But at the end of it, you're talking about a massively different world to live in where, you can produce, any athlete in any sport can ask about their performance in real time right after they're done, right? Like any fan can ask about a specific athlete's performance in real time and get that content. So I don't think we're overstating it. I just think it's going to be a little bit harder maybe than it sounds like it's going to be.
What would you add, Roland?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the other thing is that I think for a lot of organizations, they're wondering where do they implement it? Where in their work process does AI enter? And then what do they do with that? And I don't know that I quite agree with Dave. I think AI could very well actually tell you what player to substitute in the moment. I don't think it's going to be after the game. I think it could well be during a game, which I think, again, the computing power of the major tech companies is huge.
Yeah.
And I think people need to realize that that's out there, not to sound too dire.
Yeah.
But I think that the entry point is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Where it gets started.
You know, and the interesting thing about AI, and I think this is a good segue to the next question, is there's certainly among the public are some concerns about the impact of AI, some concerns about, you know, social impact, et cetera. Tell us about how you guys are approaching social impact and other issues around that.
Yeah, look, there should be concerns, right? Especially as it relates to bias and toxic content. You know, until these things are in place, you're talking about properties where the value is in the content they produce, right? That's where they generate all their money. Even when it comes down to the event that they put on the pitch or the field or the ice or the court where they're selling tickets, the value is in the content. And, you know, a not so friendly version of a machine saying the wrong thing can be massively detrimental.
Yeah.
So those are things that we have to be concerned with. Now, we're not the content, we're not the rights holder, right? We're the facilitator of the technologies that allow for the access to those experiences. So we have to be very focused on that, but it really starts at the rights holder level. And they're going to be very cautious for obvious reasons.
Outside of AI and concerns around social and public policy issues there, tell us a little bit more about how Next League is focusing on social issues, social impact. Roland, I'll start with you.
Yeah. So one of the things that really attracted me to the company was it had a unique point of view on social impact and giving back. So in many of our relationships, we have an element where we're giving back both money and effort to those causes, which Dave can go a little more deeper on.
Yeah. From the very beginnings of the company, we were very much focused on doing things in excess of the tech and the strategy that we can provide on behalf of our clients. And that has taken shape in the form of some activity, as Roland said, in terms of the time invested, which is something our team is really passionate about. It actually helps us from a recruiting standpoint when we talk about things like this, because people want to be involved in the kinds of organizations that are investing time and money in things that have social impact. We have announced a few of those with the USOPC. As a partner of ours, the United States Olympic Paralympic Fund is something that we've made a multi-year $500,000 commitment to. We've got a verbal in place also with TGL, the new Tiger Rory golf effort that we're going to have some social impact around. And this year we actually launched Next League University, which is an investment we made in teaching up and coming, mostly college students about the sports industry and how it works. We did 2 days where our team, not me, or Roland, taught classes in the way, everything from media rights to partnerships to tech, obviously, because that's the world we live in. So we're very much focused on those things. Again, beyond the value we can create for our clients in terms of the tech we can deliver. So it's important to us.
Dave, Roland, thanks so much for your time. This has been SBJ's Executive Insight with Next League.